So, hi everyone. Is working from home really getting you down at the moment? I know last week I published a great long post about how I deal with working from home and a checklist of many years of moving offices, going from working in corporate world to working from home and back, and all of the things that can help you make this a little bit easier. But I also know that a lot of people like video a lot more than they like reading a great long blog post. So I thought today I would give you a tour of my work from home office. So, a quick tour of my work from home office: screen, computer, microphone, stability ball to sit on. And then we get to the interesting stuff that you don't find in most offices, where we've got some workout equipment that, believe me, gets a load of use. All right, so first things first, when we're talking about our work from home space or our remote office or any office setup, we have to be super careful about ergonomics. The last thing you want to be doing is hurting your back, and believe me, I've had a few twinges sitting on this stability ball, although I do greatly prefer it to sitting on an office chair. Don't tell health and safety in corporate land at the moment, because they tend to find stability balls to be a bit on the dangerous side, what with people having a risk of falling off. But I find personally it does brilliant things for my posture. And because they're inflatable, I can inflate it a little bit more or a little bit less to get myself to the right height. So, as you saw from the short video, sorry, it was filmed on my phone in vertical mode, so that's why everything looks tall and skinny. I have an entire dining table that I'm working on, which means I've got plenty of space to spread out. I've got my planner, which I can work to one side of me so I can take notes. I've got my two things of Post-its. If you've looked at some of my previous stuff, you might know that for productivity reasons, I like to have urgent things that I have to do today to one side of me, and things that I need to prioritize for later to the other side of me. They're on two different colors. I'm not sure you can see that, but yellow is currently urgent and orange is prioritized. So if I'm in the flow of working and I think of something I need to do, I can note it down quickly and then it's out of my head, but I'm not at risk of losing it. So when I get to the next break, I can then transfer it into my planner. So plenty of space. You couldn't see under the table, but I've got short legs, plenty of space for my knees. I'm not at risk of hitting myself on any table legs or any chair legs, so that's excellent. And my feet are flat on the floor. If you find yourself in a chair that gets your hands at the right level for typing, but your feet are dangling, it's horribly uncomfortable after a while, as well as not great for your back. So you want to put something under your feet. And if you're working remotely from home, or you've got something where you're in a setup that you're going to be using permanently, I mean, stick a book under your feet, stick a box under your feet, a ream of paper works well. Anything just to lift your feet up a little bit if you don't want to invest in a footstool, or you're not in a place where you can have a footstool. So, seating, what we've just talked about. If you're in a chair, you should be adjustable. It should have wheels. Working in a dining chair is terrible. You will find yourself wanting to scoot in and out a lot more than you do when you're sitting down having dinner, and 8 hours in a dining chair, just don't do it. Your monitor. Now, I've got two. I use either a PC laptop for corporate or a MacBook for personal, and I have a separate monitor. The thing to remember with monitors is you want to be eye line slightly above the top of the screen. So you want to be looking very slightly down. So on laptops, they tend to need to be lifted up. And when you've lifted them up, it means the keyboard isn't at the right place for your hands to type. So when you've done this, you're kind of in an either or if you're just walking around with a laptop. I have a stand to lift my laptop up on, but again, books, boxes, reams of paper, just make sure they're robust and nothing's going to fall off. But if you're doing that, make sure you've got a standalone keyboard and mouse. Otherwise, you're going to end up with all kinds of wrist problems. And as someone who has metacarpal tunnel completely unrelated to office work, I can tell you it's miserable. It takes loads of work just to do normal things. So just avoid RSI. Really seriously, avoid RSI. So Neutral wrists. When you're looking at your keyboard, you can't see my hands, but neutral wrist means I'm not like this and I'm not like that. So if you find yourself typing where your forearms are resting on the table and your fingers are up above it, then it's really not going to be good for you. That will tend to mean that your seat is too low and you're putting lots of weight on your forearms and flexing your wrists. It is a thing that leads to RSI, so really don't do it. Get your chair to the right height, make sure your keyboard is comfortable, and if you want to use a wrist rest, I find it puts pressure on my wrists and I don't like it, but a lot of people do invest in a wrist rest. You can get ones that fold or roll so you can move them with you as you go. And then the final thing really on ergonomics, now this is just a brief ergonomics, there's lots of information out there. If you want more, I've got a link in the blog post to ergonomic specialists who can talk you through all kinds of information, and they do have some brilliant downloadable guides. So I'll drop that link in this post as well. If you're using the telephone, so most of us at home probably don't have a landline anymore, so you're probably on a mobile or a cellular phone. I would highly recommend that you get yourself a headset, because if you're picking up a phone, and mine are quite a distance away, so let me just grab one. So picking up a phone, if you're trying to hold it in tight, you're going to be like this, and your face is going to get hot, your ear is going to get hot, and you're going to be constantly picking it up and moving it, attempting to type with one hand. It's not good. It's not good for your neck. It's not good for your hands. It's not good for your phone. So, headset. It's completely the way forward. I mean, the one I've got at the moment is a Burton. I picked it up on Amazon for less than £10, I think. So that'd be about $12. And it's got a microphone. It's got comfortable earpieces, and that's really all you need. If I'm working on the computer, you could probably see the Jabra in the shot. Now that's what I use for work. It's a brilliant unidirectional speaker. And it's great because you can set it in the middle of a table in a meeting and it picks up all of the conversations all around while not causing lots of feedback. It's a work thing though, so it's going back to work when I finally flee corporate. Personally, for this kind of stuff, I use the Blue Snowball microphone, which you can just see. Lovely bit of kit that. But it doesn't have a speaker. So if you're going to be doing lots of conference calling and you want to be able to do that through your phone and your computer, the Jabra is definitely the way to go, but pick out the Bluetooth one, otherwise you'll struggle to connect it to your phone. So, ergonomics, that is the base information. Ultimate home office checklist. So if you want a downloadable copy of this, you can get it by going to the blog and giving me your email address, and I'll send you a copy in a print optimized format, so you don't have to worry about all the colors coming out, and it's all grayscale, nice and easy to use. The things you should be considering when you're setting up the ultimate work from home office. So you want the right place. You don't want to be interrupted all the time. You don't want to be trying to find a space to fit everything in. You need to have enough space around you. Glare from the outside is a complete no-no. It's very bad for your eyes, terrible for looking at screens. As much as I'd love to work in the garden, it doesn't work from a glare perspective. I've got vertical blinds. They look hideous, but they're great for blocking out the glare. You want a space where when you're in it, you're focused on working, so you don't want to be using some of your relaxing space. Unfortunately, as you can see, my lounge is also my office, so I tend to keep this little bit of it is working. When I'm here, I'm working. Good lighting, enough power sockets, or if you don't have enough power sockets, a surge protector with additional socket capabilities. Don't overload your electrics. Your electrician will never forgive you. You need a good working surface with something to sit on. As we've discussed, I'm on a stability ball, wheels, chair, 5 wheels, they want 5. Something that's comfortable. Fast internet. I've just put mesh on top of my cable internet, so when I'm doing bits of writing and stuff and the glare's not too bad, I can go from the front of the house to the back. I can do a bit of writing in the garden, or I can, if I'm really so inclined, sit out there, watch a movie. Anything that requires internet, I'm sorted from one end of the house to the other. You want storage, you want insurance. Make sure that the stuff that you are using at home is covered by your insurance. Your household insurance may or may not cover it depending on the purpose, so do check. And antivirus and firewalls, last thing you want is someone stealing your information or confidential information that you're processing on behalf of anybody else. Or you don't want something like a ransomware attack, so just check. Make sure it's there. I know it's a pain, but check. Better safe than sorry. So you want all your electronics. I mean, you know what you need. Personally, I do a lot of data work, so I definitely have to have 2 screens. I have 3 at work when I'm in corporate, physically located in the office. It's just spreadsheets don't work very well on small screens, and if you're moving back and forth between data, you want to have at least 2. You want surge protection, as mentioned. You want an uninterruptible power source, potentially. Not so key if you're on a laptop, but if you're on a desktop and there's a risk of the power cutting out and you losing all of your work, you really want to have a UPS because it gives you that chance to save and shut down properly. And then the other things you might need: phone, microphone, speaker. I use a Jabra, as I mentioned, or the blue snowball microphone. Some way to back up your information. If you need to print or scan, you might need something to do that. Crosscut shredder for any confidential information that you've happened to print. And then things that we were talking about before: a stand or a riser for your computer or laptop, keyboard and mouse. All the associated cabling, a way to make the cabling safe, so either cable ties. I use bulldog clips on the back of the table because it's a table. It's not a permanent solution for me at the moment. So I can run my cables up through the bits that you use to open the clip, and if you twist them, then they're less likely to fall down and you're not on your hands and knees onto the table looking for them. And some way to make them safe if it's a permanent solution. Well, even if it's a temporary solution, you don't want people tripping over cables. And then we get to the fun stuff, the stationery. So I have sticky notes. I have so many sticky notes in so many different colors. This is nowhere near as many as I used to have. Calendars, notebooks, planners, whatever you need. Pens, pencils, highlighters, rulers if you end up. Once a month I have, for my corporate job, I end up drawing a matrix and ticking things off just to make sure that I haven't missed anything. I use a ruler for that. Something to hold your stationery, something to lock up any valuables in, tissues, standard stuff, and any spare cables you might need. So once you've amassed all of this to hand, you then need to start setting up your space. So you're going to want to get all your gear together, because once you've laid it all out and you then remember that you need another monitor, you're going to have to shuffle it all around. So the way I do it is I get everything together and then I set up the computer and I set up all the ancillaries, but I don't fix them down, because every time I move offices, and I have done it a lot in my career, or I set up a place at home to work or set up a place in a hotel to work, I can't get it right. It takes at least a week for me. So set everything up, set up your computer, set up your standalone monitor if you've got it, set up your keyboard, set up your chair and everything. Make it safe, don't fix it down, because I can guarantee that there'll be something that you'll want to move just a tiny bit, and if you fixed all the cables, there will be just not quite enough slack. So make it safe, but don't tie it down. Test it. Sit there, do the comfort, do the ergonomics test, run your cables, connect up your equipment, do the test again, make your cables safe, put out your stationery, tweak it all again, because it's not going to be right. You'll find at 3 o'clock in the afternoon you've got a glare, and at 3:01 it goes away, or something silly like that. Tweak it till it's right. It'll take a week at least. Fix it down once you're happy that it's right. Then, the thing that is key for working anywhere, but particularly for working remotely: take breaks. Set yourself the time. You are going to work between this time, and you're going to take a break. For me, I work for 55 minutes and I take 5 minutes break out of every hour. There are multiple reasons for this. 1, you are supposed to look away from any form of display screen equipment that you are using for at least 2 minutes out of every hour, and I prefer 5. Secondly, my body hates sitting still. You saw on the tour that I've got loads of workout equipment around here. So I will pick up a kettlebell and do kettlebell snatches or deadlifts. I've got a pull-up bar that lives down there, so I might lunge down the hall, do some pull-ups, get a glass of water, lunge back, then go get the mop for all the water that I've spilled doing walking lunges. Coffee table behind me that is just the right height for handstand press-ups. I will do something every hour. It keeps my body active, it keeps my brain active, keeps my muscles happy, and it gets out all of those kinks that you get when you're sitting still and focusing for too long, and refreshes the brain. So, if it doesn't feel right, adjust your ergonomics, but also make sure you're moving enough. A good trick for this is drink loads of water. Not too much water, of course. Too much water is just as bad as too little water. But if you're drinking water and you have to get up regularly to go to the bathroom, then you're not sitting in one place for too long. And getting up and doing something else refreshes your brain and gets you ready for the next task. And I quite often have, if I'm working on a gnarly problem, the solution will come to me when I've got up to go for a walk. Or I'm in the garden doing 5 minutes of skipping or something, just to give my brain a break from chewing on the problem consciously and let the subconscious do its job. So I hope you've enjoyed the Ultimate Office Setup Checklist, and that you've enjoyed the tour of my working from home office. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Please, if you could, I'd love it if you'd like and follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, nip across to Pinterest, and have a look at us there. Thank you so much for watching.